listening to the legendary Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire.
For instance, if you take the time to figure out this rhyme, you know it makes sense. Come on, Will.
Vinyl Esquire.
Okay, party people in the house. You're about to witness something you've never witnessed before. Yes, it's the original human beatbox.
Because I asked you for a beatbox and you know what I got? Dougie Fresh, you know that kid from down the block?
Vinyl Esquire. Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music. Would you join me, please, in welcoming DJ Rip?
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, and Vinyl Esquire is the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the legendary turntablist, the legendary DJ, and a founding member of the legendary group, the Get Fresh Crew. My name is DJ Rip, and this is Vinyl Esquire, and I would like to introduce the legendary DJ Chillwill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good, man?
Chillwill, how you doing, my man?
Hey, man, I'm blessed, man. I can't complain.
It's all good, man. Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you for Vinyl Esquire. As I had mentioned before, Vinyl Esquire is the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture, honors our legends, and you are definitely a DJ legend and a representative of our culture. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, definitely.
So Chillwill, let me get right to the beginning.
Okay.
So Chillwill, tell me who or what made you want to be a DJ?
I first got my first look at really wanting to be a DJ. There was a DJ who used to DJ for the Magnificent Seven and Foster Projects named Artie Art. He was the first person I ever seen DJ because it was outside, it was free, I was young, I didn't have to go in a party with liquor license and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I got to see him outside, and it was just something that, you know, that I gravitated to just from that moment, you know, like this is like the way he keep the crowd moving. He throw a record in, people go, you know, it was just crazy. I was like, yo, that's something I want to get into, and I wanted to try it. But I had, you know, no equipment or nothing, so I had to figure out something.
Okay, so tell me how old you were and what area and what are you talking about? Where was this at exactly?
This was in Manhattan at Foster Projects. That's on 115th and Lenox Avenue. And they were right outside, like 115, 114, right on Lenox Avenue, right outside. And I was right, like, down the street from Harlem World, from back in the day.
Right,
okay. Harlem World was right there on 116th. It was right down the street, right on the same avenue. And I could go over there and hang out, but I went with some friends of mine who are older than me. So I just, long as my mom's was like, long as you with them, I'm good. But they went over there for girls. You know, they went over there for girls, but I'm a little too young for that. I'm like, you know, maybe 14, like 14 years old.
Okay.
So I'm hanging out with them, and I get over there. It's a crowd of people. So I'm inching my way through to get to the front. But I didn't see that there's a rope there because I was wondering why nobody going no further closer. But there's a rope there, and I got right to the rope, and I sat there the whole time and watched it. And he was playing. There was a lot of people. Red Alert was out there, but he didn't DJ this night. Like, he was just there, you know. But at this point, I don't know who none of these people are. I'm just watching the guy that's on the turntable, you know. Then I started to you know, hear about other people, see other people, listen to tapes, start getting tapes, start doing all this stuff to find out what is this thing here. You know what I'm saying? What are people doing? I get Hollywood tapes, Grandmaster Flash, Theodore, all of these cats, you know, that were way before me.
Right,
you
right.
know? Mm-hmm. So that's how I really started.
Got you. So what year would you say that this was?
Well, if I'm 14, so it's got to be, let me see, 75. So it's got to be maybe 79, 80, maybe.
Okay.
Like 80, like probably like 80, you know.
Got you.
Yeah,
So
like 80.
So you're originally from Harlem, is that correct?
I'm from Harlem. Yep, for 118th Street.
Got you. Okay. Who would you say that you credit to really giving you the motivation to want to go buy a pair of turntables and actually start DJing?
Well, I would say RDR was that person for me. But then you start seeing where it got a little more glamorous with Flash. And then, you know, because now he's DJing for somebody.
Right.
And there's groups and Theodore and Fantastic. So, and Charlie Chase, Tony Tone, the Cold Crush. So it's like now I'm seeing people, and you know who I hung around with was Fearless and, you know, OC and Crazy Eddie. And now I'm seeing people with groups,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And now they're DJing for somebody, and DJ MCs are, you know, rocking with the DJ. He keeping the beat going. This whole situation is phenomenal to me.
Right. Right.
You know, like all of this is like, I've never seen this before. And it's like, yeah, this is something I want to do. You know, I want to get into this. But at that time, you know, it's more of a hobby. You know, it's like a hobby at this time. Like, yo, that's something I want to do. I want to get into just for the love. You know?
Right.
Because I appreciated what I'm seeing, you know?
Okay, so give me, what year do you think you actually became a DJ? Not the motivation or the inspiration. You said that was in 79, 80. So tell me what year you believe you finally got a pair of turntables and you gave yourself a DJ name.
81 was the time. Okay, the same guys I was hanging out with, I'm getting them into this situation. And they're like, I'm working summer youth, you know, at this point. So
okay,
they buy the turntables and I bought a mixer. So I took my money and I went and bought a mixer. And now I'm trying to learn the craft, you know what I'm saying? I got to go buy records, you know, and at this point, I didn't understand this at the very beginning, but I was buying records and I was like, okay, I get this record. And, you know, they're telling me about this record, tell me about this record, but I'm buying one of each. I don't realize I need two.
Right, you need doubles, right?
Of the same record, you know? So I'm buying one, and I'm like, how did they keep this going? You know, like, how do they keep this part of the music going with one song? And then, you know, I had a friend named David, and he was already a DJ, but he wasn't that great. But he knew the skill of it. He said, yo, you got to get two. You can't have just one song. You got to have one of these on each turntable. I was like, so now I got to go back and get another song, another record. So I buy one record just so I can have two, cutting the same record over and over and over and over again, you know, just to get it.
Right.
And that's when I actually became a DJ to keep the beat going. So I was mixing because I wasn't really for anything. I was more mixing just to keep the beat going. And that's how I started, you know, like, okay, I consider myself, I guess, a DJ at this point. And there was a party in my mother's building, and there was a DJ down in the apartment. And I asked him, could I play? But I had not really played yet, you know, really in front of people.
Right.
And that was my first time I ever played in front of people. And he's just giving me songs to play. But I'm just putting them on and trying to keep the beat going. But it was good before, you know, you had to actually keep those little pieces going. Like if I'm going to cut like Love Rap or something like that, I wasn't there yet. But I can keep a beat going with another song. I can get that. The mixing became more, for me, I was better at mixing than I was cutting.
Gotcha.
At that moment. You know, I can blend into the next song or into the same song and keep it going before I was able to cut a piece of a break, you know?
Got you. So what was your first DJ name? That's okay.
My first DJ name was Cochise.
Cochise. I mean, that
fits
the time. Right.
Right, from Cooley High.
Cooley High, right.
I got the name from Cooley High. You know?
Right.
So I was DJ Cochise.
Okay, so tell me how you came into your own. How did you become DJ Chillwill? How did it happen? Coming from, you know, 81, getting started, having your own turntables, learning how to mix, and, you know, your first DJ name, DJ Cochise. How did you become DJ Chillwill?
Okay, so after that, I went to I had the two guys that helped me with the turntables and stuff and the mixer. They were more into something else. They weren't really into this as strong. They were, but not like me, you know. So I had to figure out something else. So eventually, we would take the stuff over to my house, and then I would practice over and over and over. And I would practice until I get, you know, the break beats and stuff. And I would go to Downstairs Records and grab beats, and they would help me with this track. Yo, this is the one. You can try this, and give me, you know, breaks to play. So then I come back and I'm getting the hang of the breaks and all of that stuff. And I'm in school. You know, I mean, I go to, after this, I met my friend. Forget the school part. I met my friend Myron Benton. His name was Mr. B. And he already had equipment in his house. And I ended up going to him, and we became a group. But I was still Cochise at this point, you know, and I'm still doing that. And then we became a group, and now we're doing it, and we're, you know, doing our stuff. We go outside and bring the equipment out because his brother had speakers and all that to come outside. And we're actually doing this now, you know, for real. I'm DJing outside. He's MCing. We're making tapes. We're doing all this stuff. We got it all going. So then after him, I meet Doug. I meet Doug in high school.
Okay.
And I meet Doug in high school. Doug comes around. He says, yo, I'll tell him I'm a DJ and blah, 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 and this and that. So the guy that I was with, I know you remember back in the days with the airbrushing, and everybody had the jackets and pants and all that. So he started doing that.
Okay.
Heavy. Like, he got into that heavy because every time we turned around, somebody's like, I need a shirt done. I need to airbrush my shirt, airbrush my jacket. So when I come to his house, he got a stack of clothes. He got an airbrush.
Wow.
So I started DJing, but I looked at it, it's like 3 hours I've been in here, and he's still out here airbrushing, you know? And I'm like, do what you got to do. I mean, that's what's working for him, and it's making him money right now. You know, people are paying him for it. So do what you got to do. He's like, yeah, you know, do this. He said, next time you come over, I won't have as much. And then, so we go back now. We're all in the same school now. We all go to the same school. So he was still doing that. And then Doug is at the table. My friend of ours named Mike introduces me and Doug. And he said, yo, y'all need to meet. He said, you need to see this guy. So I go down there. Doug is banging on the table, rhyming at the end of the lunchroom. He's beatboxing. He's doing all of this stuff and other people are rhyming. He got a whole crowd around. So we meet, we hang out a little bit. So I'm in the band class. I'm in band because I'm actually in the band. Doug is in the class. I'm thinking he's in this class. He's not. He's cutting to be in here playing the drums. I'm like, how are you even in here? You know, but he's playing the drums, and he's like, yo, I'm not even in this class. But he's acting like he is. So we hang out a little bit. We actually go home together. We realize we live in the same neighborhood. So then we actually became friends. We started hanging out in school. We started hanging around like that summer. We actually hung out that summer because we lived close to each other. Then we kind of became like those people. We started going to different parties and different jams and stuff. And he was with a group called Cold Cash. So I said, you know, they had a DJ, but the DJs had jobs. They was getting jobs, and they couldn't really do what he wanted them to do because he wants to go do something in the afternoon, and he can't do it because they got to go to work. So he said, yo, maybe we can get together and do something. But I was like, yo, I don't have no equipment. You know, he said, all right, well, we'll work something out. So we're doing this. So I meet Cold Cash. And it's a guy named James and a guy named Damon. And when I met James, we hung out, and me and him kind of clicked. You know, we was good. And he said, yo, you real chill. Yo, Chillwill. And he said, yo, I'm going to start calling you Chillwill. And that's how I ended up getting the name, because that's what he kept calling me. And I started liking that more than I liked Cochise.
Right. Absolutely.
So I just took that on. I was just like, you know what? That's what I'm going to become.
Okay. All right.
That's my name.
Okay. So what year is this? Would you say that this is now 82, 83?
83. This is like 83.
Okay. So now hold on. So 1983, you're in high school with Doug, which is Dougie Fresh. Now, at that time, what was his?
He's Dougie D at this time.
Aha. Okay. So we got an early young Dougie Fresh. His name is Dougie D. Okay.
Right.
And you said Cold Cash is the group he was in, and now you're Chillwill. And I'm going to assume, because my next question is how did the Get Fresh crew really get started? I'm going to assume that this is the early stages of the Get Fresh crew. Talk to me about this.
Okay. So, well, let me just go back to one thing. Doug was using the name Dougie D and Dougie Fresh, but because he was Dougie D first, and then he kept saying Dougie Fresh, and he kept wanting to use Dougie Fresh, but Dougie D, he just kept going back and forth, and then he just eliminated Dougie D. right? And eventually just became Dougie Fresh. So now it's just me and him because James and Damon found other stuff to do. Like everybody, you know, a lot of people, when you're not making something from this, you find other things to do. You go get a job, you go do something because there's no money involved in this at this point, you know?
Right.
So we were still trying to make this happen. We said, we're going to make something happen. We're going to meet people. We were going to jams. Every day we would go out, and in the summer, you know, there was summers where the jams were everywhere. Everywhere you walk in Manhattan and Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx, everybody had something going on. There was a party in the park. There was a block party. There was something. We would hit everything. We're going to hit every single thing. We're going to hit every party we can find. So at this point, it's just me and him. It's just me and Doug. So it's just we're going to different places and we're doing stuff. So now we're on flyers. We actually got a chance to play at Harlem World. And, you know, that, you know, back in, you know, even, you know, all the time, but it's like, you know, people started fighting and all that, so we never got on. We ended up never getting on. So that was the end of that. Then we started getting on flyers, and it was you know, Dougie Fresh and Chillwill. It was just that. So then we have a friend named Pop. Pop takes us to a friend of his house. He said, yo, I got a cat. He got equipment. Y'all can use it. Y'all would be good. Yo, you don't mind. Just come up. And we said, who is that? He said, my friend Barry. He's like, okay, we go up to Barry's house. Barry's already DJing. The music's loud. You can hear it in the hallway. Everything.
Wow.
We go in. It's going down. Barry's in there. He got a group called the Devastating Three. So Devastating Three in there, they making tapes. We come in the middle of a tape, and Doug jumps on. Like, we don't even know. We just get in, and Doug just jumps on in the middle of the tape. They pass it to him, you know. I believe that's me. Get on the mic for, like, the symphony, like the same kind of thing. But you know how you pass it on to the next. They just pass it on to Doug. And he came in, and he just rapped with them. And then we started going up there to Barry's house every day, every other day, to do something. We want to make a tape, we go to Barry's house. We want to do this, we go to Barry's house. We want to do something, Barry, because Barry's always DJing. Barry's DJing nonstop. He get up in the morning, brush his teeth, wash up, and go start DJing. And that's it all day. It's all the way till nighttime. And everybody comes through there. There's all kind of MCs from the neighborhood. Barry's house is packed with people doing stuff. So that's how we ended up meeting Barry.
Gotcha. And this is still Harlem, right?
This is still Harlem. This is in Lincoln Project on the east side, 132nd Street.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So we meet Barry. We start to do stuff with Devastating Three. Now it's me, Doug, Barry, and Devastating Three. And we start doing all these Mike and Dave parties and a whole bunch of different events around the neighborhood. And Barry starts to travel with us because Devastating Three ended up going to college. Like, you know, later on, they ended up going to college. So Barry is just there. So Doug is like, yo, Barry is good. We can't just let him be. And as much as he's done with us, we got to put him down. And we were like, okay. I was like, well, you know, I don't know how that's going to work with two DJs. You know, he said, well, we're going to do something different than most. He said, you know, you got Charlie Chase and Tony Tone, you got OC and Crazy Eddie, and they all DJ, you know, as two DJs, but we're going to do it simultaneously. Like, this is something that, you know, nobody has done yet, though.
Right.
Have both DJs play at the same time. You know, like there's 4 turntables here, you know. Right. Instead of 2, you get on, then I get on, and we pass the headphones to each other. No, you have your own set. You're going to have his own set, and we're going to just keep everything continuous. And that's how we ended up doing putting ourselves together as a group, and then we just called ourselves Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh Crew, and that's what it became. This is right before Slick Rick.
Right. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So Barry B joins now. Again, this is about 83, right? You're saying?
This is late 83, maybe 84, like going into 84, like that winter.
Okay.
Of 84.
Okay. So now before we get into so now we have the Get Fresh crew, right? So you're talking about 1984. It's Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, which is you, Chillwill, and Barry B as DJs, and then you got Dougie Fresh. Now, I want to back up and say one thing here. So you said in 82, 83, you were in high school, and Dougie was there, you know, rapping, beating on the table, and beatboxing. So, of course, he's credited to be, you know, the original and the creator of the beatbox. You never heard of this before meeting Doug. Is that correct?
No, that's correct.
That's absolutely amazing.
I've never heard anybody do the beatbox before Doug. And Doug is the first person I've ever seen do it at this point, up into a long ways. Like, it's not like, hey, in a couple of months I saw somebody else do it. It was a
Right.
long time before I saw anybody else do this other than Doug.
Yeah, because
And I have a flyer on my wall from Thanksgiving of 1982 that says Dougie Fresh, the human beatbox.
wow.
This is 1982.
Right. That's amazing because, of course, later on, 83, 84, here comes the Fat Boys. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Right.
Biz Markie later and then so many others. But,
Right.
yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So now I want to add a few other, elements into the story. So
Okay.
you and Dougie Fresh, the Get Fresh crew were in a film called Big Fun in the Big Town. And also Dougie Fresh was in Beat Street. So that's like 1984-ish, right? Talk to me about, how this happened. Because, again, you're saying that you guys just got together. You finally formed a group. It's 84. And then here comes the movie Beat Street. How did that happen?
Right. Doug can tell you that probably Doug know that story better than me because that all transpired more with him. I know something happened with him and Harry Belafonte and how he met him. And, he told a story just the other day. And I'm just trying to remember what it was because I wasn't there for that. I was there for the movie. Like I was at the shooting and everything.
Right.
But I don't realize how it transpired into that happening.
Got you.
I'm not 100%. I don't even want to start to speculate because I know bits and pieces, but I don't know it as strong to say the whole thing. Like this is how it happened.
Absolutely. And the interview is about you. I just wanted to see how this all narrates the story of, Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, which is obviously Chillwill and Barry B. So, so also talk to me a little bit about, so the Get Fresh crew is created. Now, where does Dana Dane, the Kango crew, and Slick Rick come into play around this time?
We met Slick Rick in an MC contest at the Cadet Center in the Bronx. And that was our first meeting with him. And he was one of the MCs in the contest, but I think he was supposed to do it with his whole crew, but they weren't there. So he ended up getting involved with another crew and got into it. And they were supposed to win. I don't know how what happened with that. I think Rick had won and then I think it was like, it was supposed to be amateurs, but then the Cold Crush got in it.
Oh, okay.
And they ended up winning, So I guess they didn't consider, I don't know if they considered Cold Crush not professional because they didn't have records out or I don't know what it was. And I don't know if it was records or whatever it was, but I don't know what made them be in an amateur contest, but they ended up winning. So that's how we met Rick. And then we kind of exchanged numbers and stuff like that. And then, Doug and Rick started connecting and talking, and then Rick came and he did some stuff with us because we were at my house, we was at Barry house, and we ended up putting stuff together. This is the first time we ever heard Lottie Dottie. Doug heard Lottie Dottie already. I had never heard Lottie Dottie. He said, you got to hear this guy do this song do this rhyme called Lottie Dottie.
Wow.
And he did it, and we were in the house, and I just made up a beat on the drum machine, and Rick did it to that beat. And it was a bunch of people in my house, and it was hilarious. Like, we were like, yo, this is crazy, yo. It's like, yo, this guy's phenomenal because we had never heard anybody rhyme the way that Rick rhymes. Like, this is like something new, brand new to us and so we started doing stuff together. And then we started to gel together as the Get Fresh crew. It just grew another person,
Wow.
So now,
amazing.
We got Slick Rick with us. So now it's me, Barry, Doug, and Rick. And we go out, we're doing parties and stuff. We're doing all of this stuff before record. And we did Lottie Dottie live a bunch of times before we even put it on record, know?
Got you.
And we were just out doing stuff because we learned to perform just by doing stuff without having any records out. Just doing it, just performing off of different records and rhyming and just kind of sharpening your skills to perform. Because, before we had any records out, we had to do something.
Right.
Just to perform, and so that's how we ended up kind of gelling together as the four of us.
Got you. And was the Kango crew a part of that, or was that just something different?
No, that was Rick's group. That was Rick and Dana, and I think somebody else was with them. That was their group, and we were our group. And then we weren't really together as a group, initially. He was still with his group, and we still had our group. We just did stuff together.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, and that's how that started. Even when we did the record, the show and Lottie Dottie, it was still kind of the same thing. Like it was kind of still separate entities doing something together.
Got you.
You know?
So, and the appearance in the Big Fun in the Big Town film, which was like a documentary type film, that was just a basic interview, right? That's how you guys ended up in that film.
Yeah, it was just an interview. That was an interview for something else that ended up just getting into that movie.
Wow. Okay.
I guess somebody bought that, you know, because that wasn't for that.
Oh, okay, got you. I mean, it's like a classic film, you know what I mean? So okay,
right.
So let's talk about a few records though. So now, before Slick Rick, I believe this is. Talk to me about the first Enjoy Records release. So I mean, you guys are the Get Fresh crew, and you know now you're a group, right? But talk to me about the first Enjoy Records deal and the singles Just Having Fun and Original Human Beatbox. Talk to me about, you know, what happened and how did this come about?
Well, we knew Bobby Robinson, who owned Enjoy Records, you know, because he had a record shop on 125th Street right off of 8th Avenue. And he used to play music outside. Like he had a speaker that sat outside and he would play songs or whatever. So Spoonie G's brother worked there. And we would go to Bobby's all the time because he would have all these records on the wall and you would see stuff in, you know, record, like he started he had his own records on the wall, like with Love Rap and, you know, all of those kind of things. So if you want Love Rap, the only place to get them was Bobby Robinson's record shop. That's where it was done at.
Right, absolutely.
So, you know, so we would go over there and we talked to Bobby and we ended up working out a deal with him. And he said he was going to get the paperwork and stuff together. But while we're doing that, he wants us to go and record. So we go in and we record the song, but it's not, we're doing it like, we don't really know how to really do this. We're doing it the best we can. You know,
right.
We're programming drum machines and guys showing us, he's like, okay, I got it set. You just make up the beat. And Doug makes up a beat on it and we start doing it. And we're doing a song as we are in there. We're not, you know how you come to the studio, you be like, I got this song. I just want to lay the beat down. And we don't do that. We're making up this entire song in the studio.
Wow.
So we called Just Having Fun that because that's what we were doing. We wasn't kind of making it like a song. We were just kind of just having fun. You know, we just kind of banging on the machines and adding stuff to it and using new stuff and doing whatever. But that song was a song that was never finished. We never finished it, but he put it out anyway.
Right. Wow.
You know, and because we was like, all right, we never got the paperwork to see what we're going to do about a deal and getting money. And he was just giving us money. Like, here, take this, you know. And as young kids, you know, you kind of take that and go with it because
right.
you ain't got no job and somebody handing you, you know, at that point, somebody hand you $200. That's like, you might as well hand me $2,000.
Right.
You know, like at that point, you know, so we're just like, hey, he's giving us this money and we going with it. And we're doing the song and we're recording, which we should have waited until we got the paperwork signed and did all the stuff and did a real deal. But we didn't actually do it that way.
Yeah, but who's waiting on that? You're teenagers. Right. They're cutting the record. You know it's going to be sold in the store. Give me a little cash. Let's just make some music. Dope.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what happened. He was like, give us a little cash and we'll shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're quiet and we go in there and we record. Now we're learning the recording studio and all this other stuff and how to do it and make it, because we're making up a song from scratch in the studio. Not even, there's no rhymes. There's no rhymes to this. There's no beat. There's no music. There's no nothing. We're coming in here with nothing and start a song.
So what was your participation? Of course, you're the DJ. You're a DJ for the group. But what was your participation in Just Having Fun and the original Human Beatbox in the studio?
We're helping with the beat, helping put the track together. Like, we started putting stuff together and adding stuff. So we're all kind of collaborating on what this is going to be, what rhyme is it going to say? Does this fit? How does this sound? And, you know, we're kind of doing that. And I'm learning, you know, I'm more intrigued about the board. You know, I'm intrigued about, this is crazy with the board and the tracks and how this is laid. And I'm more of that person that's like, how is this done? How is this happening? How are you getting music onto this reel and it's playing back onto this machine? So I'm into that. I'm talking to the engineer. I'm doing this and he's showing me stuff and doing that. And I end up learning how to do this myself, you know, but that's further down the line. But that was always my thing. You know, I was more of the technical person. And then I learned how to program the machines. And once I learned how to program the machines, I was good with that. And we started doing that in the studio. So when we first did Just Having Fun, we had a beat, but then we came back and did it over and did it again and did another beat that we thought would be better. And Doug is banging on the table and we're making that beat into the machine. You know, it's like, yo, let's do it like this. Let's play it like this. No, it's not doing this. It's not swinging enough. It got to swing like, you know, it's got to go, you know, he's making the beat up on the table. So we're making that beat into this, I think it's a Lindrum we used. So we're making that beat as he's playing it on the table, you know. And that's basically how we came up with that song. And then Doug pulled out some rhymes and said, okay, how does it sound on it? How does it sound on it? How they say, oh, this is a good one. This is rock. This is going to make it work. And we're trying that. Then they gave us a vocoder. We threw that in. We just throwing stuff in.
So all of this, so the Lindrum and the vocoder, all that was already in the studio, right?
Right. It's already in the studio. And we're just trying stuff. You know, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And but then we finally was trying to get some structure to it. That's when we heard the record out. The record was out. It was pressed and it was out.
That's amazing. And those are cult classic records, Just Having Fun, and the original Human Beatbox, first beatbox record ever put out on Enjoy Records, right. Dougie Fresh, and you know, it's amazing. So right. Now, you know, obviously you're experimenting and you're just putting this stuff out. You know, it again, dope process. It sounded like, but a learning experience, right? Okay,
right, exactly.
So now let's talk about the real classic records. You mentioned it before. Talk to me about Lottie Dottie. Talk to me about the show. You guys got to get a new deal through Reality Records, right?
Right.
I think it's Danta. I believe that's what it is.
Danya.
Yeah, Danya and Reality Records. And you put out Lottie Dottie. And the flip side is the show. Talk to me about the new label deal, these two classic records. How did it happen? And talk to me about that new process now.
Well, we started out doing, we started out, Doug said, yo, I have a dream of this song. And I want to see what it's going to sound like. And we need to put it together. We need to get a track and do some stuff. He said, and he had the money now. Like, let's just go back a little bit. He said, I got the money to actually record it where we can do it ourselves. We don't have to worry about nobody giving us money, because he took the money from Beat Street. And that's how we ended up going in the studio to do the show.
Nice.
So we go in the studio and we get ready to lay it down. But I have an 808, right? And that's the drum machine that we use. But because there's a whole nother version of the show that nobody has ever heard.
And I'm going to assume you still have a copy of this.
I still have a copy of it, but we don't really let that out because it's terrible. And
I'll beg you later to hear it, but go ahead.
So we actually went into the studio. We had, I skipped over some parts because now we got management. We got a guy who's interested in managing us. So he goes in and wants to help us out. He brings us to a studio in Brooklyn where his engineer has a deal where we can make, we can get a good rate per hour and go in there and do it. So we go in and we lay it down. We laid the whole thing down, and the beat's the same, but it just doesn't sound the same because it's a different machine.
Absolutely.
So, and we lay it down and we just listening to it, and it just don't give you that, this is hot. We just not going with, this is fire right now.
Right.
It's just something about it because it's kind of put together terribly. Like when you listen to it, like if you ever hear it, you're going to see it. Everything is out of order. Everything is nowhere near what that song is you hear today.
Right.
So like the beginning, the intro of the show with the horns, ladies and gentlemen, all of that is in the middle of the song on the other one. So it doesn't even start with that.
Got you. Okay.
It starts with some other stuff, and then we threw this toothpaste commercial in it. It was terrible.
I'm sure. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So we actually listened to it, and it's not really gelling. Like we're not really feeling it like it's supposed to be. So we're trying to figure out what can we do to make this hotter. Like, because it's not like, doesn't feel good. So we figure out we need to just try to get another situation going. So Doug goes up to Teddy Riley's house, because Teddy Riley lives in St. Nick Projects. So he goes up to Teddy Riley's house because he said Ted has a couple of machines and we can probably try this beat out on different machines and see if it works.
Right.
See what the sound is, because it's probably that machine is not working because we used just because we had it, not because it was hot, but it's all we had.
Right.
Right. So it's like maybe that's the problem, is because we're doing all we can do and we're not using all of our resources to find something else to make it sound different.
Right.
So that's it. I'm going to go up to Ted's house and I'm going to try out a couple of machines and a couple of sounds and a couple of different things and see what we can come up with. He makes up the beat, which is the beat you hear today on the show. But that's all there is. It's just a beat. And Doug has an entire 60-minute tape of the beat on one whole side, all the way, like the whole, 30 minutes on the side. Mm-hmm. He's listening to the whole thing is from beginning to end, the beat.
Wow. Okay.
And he takes this beat everywhere into clubs and say, could you just play this for us and just let it rock? And we went to this spot called B&B on the east side, and the DJ let the whole 30 minutes of it play.
And this is the Teddy Riley version, right?
Right. This is the one after he went to Ted's house.
Okay, go ahead.
And did the beat on a DX. And so that beat is playing, and he said, yo, this is so crazy. He's cutting on top of it. He's mixing other stuff in with it. They're doing all kind of stuff, but he let the whole 30 minutes of it play.
Wow.
Doug's on the floor dancing. It's like, he said, this is what we needed to feel on the first one. He said, and I didn't have that feeling. He said, I got it now, though. I got it now. Then we go into the studio and we lay it down, and then we finally we took the pieces. So, okay, we're going to put that intro at the beginning. We're going to take out this commercial. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we start doing stuff. And then Doug started writing different words to it. And then it became the song that you hear today. Now it's that song. So,
wow.
And we're feeling it. But now we think it's hot. But everywhere we take it, nobody wants to do it. No, everybody's saying this song is terrible. We took it to Russell. Russell said it was terrible.
Wow.
Nobody wanted to sign us. We couldn't get a deal. We couldn't get a deal to save our life with that song. And we did the B-side. We did Lottie Dottie on the B-side. So we had these two songs that nobody wanted. So that's how we ended up meeting this guy, Jerry Bloodrock. Jerry Bloodrock knew the people over at Dania in Reality. And he said, I got somebody who wants to do something with you. But we still trying to go to the Profiles, the Def Jams, we're like, I never even heard of Reality. I don't, what songs on Reality? We don't know nothing about it. So we aren't really trying to go that route just yet. So we still try. We can't get this song sold for nothing. Nobody wants to have any parts of it. So we finally go with Jerry Bloodrock and we work out a deal, through the whole rigmarole and contract. This is a real contract now. It's not the Bobby Robinson.
Right.
This is a real contract, and they're not trying to do nothing until you sign it.
Absolutely.
So we go through all of that and do it, and we finally get a deal, up with it, and then the rest is pretty much history. It came out that 85, the summer of 85, it came out, and it was phenomenal. It changed lives.
Absolutely. So in saying that, again, these two songs, The Show and Lottie Dottie, changed hip hop history. It changed, it added a whole genre with the beatboxing in, of course, again, you had the Fat Boys and what Doug had already done, in Beat Street. Because, Beat Street was the first time I ever saw beatboxing. And
exactly.
And I'm assuming you guys didn't even realize you were creating a whole nother element to hip hop by making the beatboxing popular. Is that safe to say you didn't even realize you were creating a whole nother genre of music, right?
Not at all, because it wasn't even geared for that. It was just something Doug was doing, and just he just kept on doing it, and then it just became a part of it now.
Absolutely.
And now it just got accepted. And now it became a whole new part of hip hop,
Right.
Then it was 1,000 beatboxes after that.
Right. I mean, and I always wanted to really know what you all felt like, about the Fat Boys, Biz Markie, the Skinny Boys, the Human Jock Box, all of these guys, right, that came out after Doug.
Right.
Because beatboxing, and all of these individuals had their own respective hits, right?
Right.
So,
and I'm going to say this, though. Doug never had a problem with anybody doing the beatbox. The only issue he had is when people said they did it before him.
Right, right.
And it's like, you never heard this before. before this, and we're saying like, yo, I've never heard nobody do this, and we've been doing it since this day. And I'm like I told you at the beginning, there was years that went by, we never heard of another beatbox nowhere, and then
has Doug ever told you what made him start doing it?
He was doing it to create records and beats for people. Like, like if you were rhyming and we were just doing it at lunchroom or outside or something, Doug would just do that so you could rhyme. We ain't got no music, so he's going to do it.
Right.
He'll do the music.
Absolutely.
So he just, that's how it, it actually began. And Barry actually gave him the name, the Human Beatbox.
Wow.
He said, that's what you should call that. You should call that the Human Beatbox. And that's what he called it.
Yeah, because prior to that, I don't mean to cut you off, but prior to that, I would assume that Flash made the beatbox, coined that whole aspect famous.
Of the beatbox period.
Right. Absolutely.
And now you're doing that with your mouth. So it's like you're the human beatbox. You're doing that same thing, but you're doing it yourself. There's no buttons to press. There's nothing. It's just you.
Wow. Absolutely.
And that's how
amazing.
that became. Yes.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys put out the single, The Show, and Lottie Dottie on the flip side. Changes hip-hop history, changes the whole landscape of the music, and it's just incredible, and I'm sure it changed your life. So here comes the debut album. The debut album comes out in 1986, titled Oh My God, with the singles All the Way to Heaven. And then the second album in 1988, The World's Greatest Entertainer, with the single Keep Rising to the Top. Talk to me about these classic albums and the singles.
Right. Well, I will say this. The beginning of it, after The Show and Lottie Dottie came out, we still weren't seasoned in the business part of this. So we didn't realize that we probably shouldn't have put out these songs until we had the album finished, so that the album would ride off the momentum of the single.
Right.
If it did something, if it didn't do nothing, then you come out with the next single. So it was always, the plan should have been do the single, finish the album, put out The Show and Lottie Dottie, have the album ready, have the album come out off the momentum. Now, if there's no momentum from The Show and Lottie Dottie, get ready for the next single.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Have the next single ready so that you can try to build off of it. So that was the game. That was supposed to be the game plan, but we don't know this. And the show, when it came out, took off extremely fast.
Yes.
So when it came out, we ended up going on tour. I just got a job. I've been working for one day.
Okay.
I just got this job. The guy told me on Thursday, you can start tomorrow, and then we'll go start fresh on Monday with everything. He said, tomorrow they'll show you what to do, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool.
Right.
This is a construction job. So I'm working that. I go Thursday. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. You won't regret it. That kind of thing. Friday, I go to work. They're showing me this. And, we're putting stuff up and sheetrock and wood and all kind of stuff. For that Friday, it was like, yo, they got a tour. The tour's already set, but they want you guys to come up on it, right? They want you guys to on the tour. And the tour is all of our heroes from like the R&B, like the Gap Band, Star Point, Atlantic Star, Zap.
Right.
All of these groups are on this tour. And they like, we want you guys on the tour. But the tour's done, so it's getting ready to go out. So we don't have no time to waste. So I'm like, yo, I just started working. I just got a job. So they're like, well, it's up to you. It's your call, So I got to go back and tell this guy, yo, I can't work no more.
Yeah, but I mean, a construction job or tour wasn't a hard decision, right?
Right. And here's the craziness. The guy, a friend of mine, got me the job. He ended up coming on the road too. He took a leave of absence off the job.
Oh, wow.
Because, in a week after this, we got a bus. We got all of this stuff. We're getting ready to go out on the tour because the first date is in, I want to say Fayetteville, North Carolina. I think that's the first day. So we're getting ready to go out on the road and I can't work. So we go on the bus and he comes on the bus. He hangs out. He's like, yo, I'm going with y'all. Right. So but that record took off so quickly. And we didn't have time to do an album because from that tour was another tour that started 2 weeks after that one ended. When that one ended, 2 weeks later, we were on another tour. So we were on the road for a year and some change.
Wow.
Just off those two songs. Just off them two songs.
Now, and this is the Get Fresh crew with Dougie and Slick Rick.
And Slick Rick.
Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
So we're on the road. We're on the road for a little over a year off of these two songs. So we decided to not go because somebody wanted us to do something else. So we decided not to do it, to go and record an album because the label kept saying, yo, we need an album. We need an album.
We
so
need to sell some
making,
records. Yes.
Right. We need to do, because this is going to be over soon, and then we're going to have nothing to follow it up with.
Mm-hmm.
So we need an album. We need to get a single done, and then we need to have the album right behind it. So we go in and we start working on the song, but we're working on it like we did with the show. Everybody's there. Rick is there. This is what we're doing, All the Way to Heaven. But at this point, we only have the beat. We don't have no All the Way to Heaven lyrics. It's not called All the Way to Heaven. It's not called anything. It's just that beat. And we're writing stuff off it. Everybody's doing stuff. We're trying to figure it out how we're going to do it. And that's when, I think that creatively, Rick wanted to do something else, and technically he was still his own man. He was still his own act, and he wanted to do something differently. So I guess he found at that point, this was the time for him to go and do what he wanted to do, which was not, no issue. Like, yo, if that's what you want to do or whatever. But, we wanted to try to continue with the momentum of what we had already created here and do something else. But, we're just going to keep it moving, whatever, go ahead, you do what you got to do, and we just keep going from here.
Right.
And that's what we ended up doing. So we ended up doing the album, because even on All the Way to Heaven, there's lyrics from Rick on All the Way to Heaven, but it didn't fit the song because it wasn't All the Way to Heaven, like I said, it was something else. So when we decided to go with All the Way to Heaven, in order to use Rick, it don't fit, like the song that doesn't match. So it was like we just chose not to do anything with that.
Okay.
And that's when Rick went on and signed to Def Jam and did his own thing, and we ended up doing the album and coming out with the album. But we just missed the momentum of the show and Lottie Dottie because we waited so long, to do that. So that was the problem with that situation business wise. But I mean, everything ended up doing, everything was pretty good. So we still kept going from there. We went back out on the road. We started doing shows again. Now we said we wasn't going to make the same mistake again. So we had done another Greatest Hits 10 album. We completed it before we came out with Keep Rising to the Top.
Got you.
So then we came out with Keep Rising to the Top in '88. The album was right behind it. We came out with the album right behind that, but we had, Hank Shockley came in and did Keep Rising to the Top and another song called On the Strength. And then we just rolled off of that. We just rolled behind that and said we just, put out songs after that. And we're back out on the road again. Because our strength was more so the performances.
Right.
That was like our biggest strength was performing, because we felt like, we always said a long time ago, we watched these people like Sammy Davis Jr. and Elvis and all these other different people perform without doing any new songs. Frank Sinatra's out. He ain't made a song in years. People ain't making no new, they're just performing.
Right.
And people love the performance. So we figure, if your performance is good, the song's not really going to matter as much. It does matter because it's the thing that gives the people the visual of you. It's what makes people hear and say, I want to see this person. Then when they see you, if your show is phenomenal, you can work forever, because they be like, yo, they're going to put it down. Wait till you see this show. Wait till you see this show. Because I see people like Prince. If Prince never made another record, he would still sell out concerts. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because his show,
no question,
was phenomenal. Yes, indeed. And if he never did another song, it didn't matter because his show. Now, if his show is horrible, then it's not somebody you really want to see. I can listen to the records. The records are good. The songs are good. I love it. But the show is terrible.
So okay, so you put out the second album, right? So you
right.
come off of the show, Lottie Dottie, the first album, Oh My God, would Keep Rising to the Top, as an official single for the album, right? The second album comes out, All the Way to Heaven is the official single for the second album, okay?
So All the Way to Heaven is the second single off the first album.
Oh, the second single off the first album. Okay, excuse me.
Right.
All right. But and then in '88, The World's Greatest Entertainer, right?
The World's Greatest Entertainer. And that's Keep Rising to the Top was the first single off that album. Got you.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. All the Way to Heaven was the first single for the first album, correct?
Right. Well, the show actually was officially the first single.
Officially the first single, right.
Yeah, All the Way to Heaven was like the second single.
Got you. So coming off of these two classic albums and these two singles, I mean, you had videos, you had the whole fashion, with the ballys, and delivering beatboxing to the world from Dougie Fresh's eyes and, his style, two DJs simultaneously DJing, which we hadn't really seen Too Tough yet. I mean, I think you had LL with Bobcat and Cut Creator, right? But then
we were before that.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You didn't really see this. So with all of this happening and everything that you're giving to the culture, how is life after all of this kicks in, right? And I'm sure you did not go back to work, right? After this.
Right. I'm still on leave of absence. Still.
Right. How is life in the late 80s and early 90s for Chillwill after 2 albums, all this, the ballys, the fashion, the videos, the singles, the tours, the whole beatboxing phenomenon? How was life for Chillwill in the late 80s and early 90s now at this point?
Life is good. Life is great at this point because at this point we are established. We've done stuff. We've done a lot of things with a lot of different people. Then we started bringing people in and doing production. We brought in Little Vicious. We did Freaks with him. We brought in a young lady named Miss Jones. We did songs with her. I ended up road managing Miss Jones, and we started doing, you start to branch out into different things. Everybody starts doing different entities in this, and it keeps you going. It keeps you going. We're not just records. You don't just make records and go out on the road. You got to start creating different streams of income. And,
Absolutely.
So everything starts to work itself out. Everybody's doing something different. We got studios in our houses now. We don't even go to the studio no more. Everybody got full studios in their house, and we doing different things and laying stuff down for different people. I did an album called Too Black, Too Strong with this group called MMG. They was on they weren't on a major label or anything, but it was just something to get, I've never done an entire album for somebody,
Right.
And it was we kind of put it together really quick because he had a single and they wanted to get the album done in a week, but we're doing basically the same thing, going in the studio, doing it from scratch. I'm making up tracks in the studio. I'm just doing them as we go along. We're just trying to get something done. But this is how everything is kind of evolving for us. Everybody's doing something, that I created a booking agency from there.
Right.
That has been very, very super lucrative for me.
So I don't want to hold on. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but
okay.
Because I do want to talk to you just a little bit about some of the other ventures around at that time or other projects that you worked on outside of Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, right? So you're talking about home studios and recording these albums and managing Miss Jones. I didn't know that. So what was some of the other things that you worked on around that time frame outside of Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew?
Well, it was just a lot of little different things. I had a lot of different acts that came through me, and they did stuff. Some people had deals, some people didn't have deals, but it kept you sharp. I did stuff for people that didn't have a deal, and I didn't charge them anything to come and make albums in my house, because it kept me sharp making stuff. And, you make up tracks. I did a song on the first album called Play This Only at Night. That was my first venture by myself. What I'm saying? Where I did a song, and it was such a strange little track that I never let anybody hear it. I never let Doug hear it. I never let anybody hear it. I let one person hear it because I kept saying, should anybody hear this? And I was like, it's such a weird song, So I said, I let my friend hear it. And this is the same guy that got me the job, the construction job. So I let him hear it. He said, yo, you got to let Doug hear this. You got to let Doug hear this. I'm telling you, you're missing out. You're missing out. You got to this is crazy. I finally let Doug hear it. And he was like, yo, I got to do something on here. But the album was basically finished, so we did it. And Doug just put a rhyme in at the end. But the song got so much underground play from it that he said, I got to do something. We put it on a single, and he did a rhyme all the way through the whole thing, but that was my first venture into production. But I started liking that. Then I started doing all kind of production after that. I started producing for whoever, but I would never really venture out as a producer as strong as most people. I was never like the Pete Rocks and the Premiers,
right,
and that, so because I was never as confident as I could be with that. So to be honest, I was never, as confident as I should have been with that.
So what?
I know it was pretty good, but I was saying to myself, I'm not. And with that feeling, it didn't make me want to go as hard as I could.
Gotcha.
You know.
So what were you using to produce at that time?
What do you mean as far as a drum machine?
Yeah, exactly.
I had a DX, I had a Roland, I had a Yamaha. So I had a bunch of drum machines. I had a whole slew of them after a while. Then I had a DX. I mean, no, not a DX. I'm sorry, SP.
Yes.
It was an SP12. I had an SP12, and that was like, once you got the SP12, that was it. You were done. You were the man with an SP12.
Right. Absolutely.
And I had an SP12, but then who knew you could go to the next level when the MPC came out?
When the MPC, right, absolutely.
Yeah, when the MPC came out, and I was like, yo, how high can this go?
Right.
This is crazy right now. Because now I can add keyboards and everything because it's a sequencer. And I can do the keyboard parts myself and play them and let it just keep playing it and add to it. And it just became something else, So I started producing and stuff like that. So I did Where I Want to Be Boy from Miss Jones. That was like one of her that was like her biggest single that she had.
Absolutely.
I did a couple of joints. I did a couple of other different songs, but nothing that was really like, crazy, whatever. Because like I said, I never was really that strong feeling as a producer, which I could have been. Because I did a lot of stuff and people loved it. It's just that that was never really my strong point for me.
Got you. Well, Where I Want to Be, by Miss Jones was a dope record though. You know what I mean? And that's why I asked you, what did you do outside of Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew? Because I know that still goes to this day and that's where you started, but I know you had done, plenty of other things outside of that. So in 92, let's go back just a little bit to come forward. In 92, Doug came back and signed with MC Hammer on Busted Records, dropped an album. In 93, right. He did a deal on Island and G Street Records, put out the single I and Freaks with Little Vicious, as you had mentioned. And then got back together with Slick Rick in 95, I believe, and did a song for a project called Play. So what kept you busy in the late 90s and 2000s, amongst all these other projects that Doug was putting out?
Well, we were still working on those. Even with those things, we were all working on those songs. And then Doug did a movie called Let's Get Busy. And while he was doing that, he would just come into the studio, lay the vocals down, and me and Barry would do everything else, So we were still in the studio working, still doing stuff, still making songs, but we didn't have the same kind of drive as we did before because we weren't getting out of these labels what we thought we would do. Like when we signed to Busted, we did a whole bunch of stuff that we wanted to do, but they ended up putting out the stuff that they wanted to put out.
Right.
Like, they were like, hey, we'll give you this deal if you do this. We need you to do this song, and this song with these producers, and you can do the rest of the stuff. We're like, fine. Okay, that was the deal. But then when it was time to do it, they put out the song that they wanted to put out. That's not the route we were trying to go.
Right.
And then we shot the video, and then they went in and re-edited it and did it differently than Doug did because they thought it would be better if they did it this way. So then it was kind of like, you're not really getting out of it what you want to do because you're not doing it the way that you want to do it.
Absolutely.
But we were all together on that album too. We all we all did songs. We all had input. We all did what we had to do on there. So we were all still working. So even throughout this time, there's still work going on. But in the meantime, while all this is happening, we're still out on the road. We're still on the road. We never stopped on the road. We've been on the road.
Absolutely.
You know what stopped? The only thing stopped us on the road is COVID.
Of course, I know, and I'm going to get to that too. So no, I understand. I mean, Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew is probably the most booked. I would say the most booked, just like how people say Lottie Dottie is the most sampled hip hop record in hip hop history. I would say Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, which is you, are probably the top booked hip hop legacy group in all of hip hop. Period. In the story. I mean, but we'll get to that because my next question.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, because my next question has everything to do with that. Okay, so here comes another record, which is another dope record. It's a DJ favorite, and then Freaks, the reggae beatbox, Caribbean vibe with Lil Vicious, another incredibly classic record that's dope. So you guys were, you were a part of all of these records, right? And a part of these classics. Okay.
Right.
So obviously that's what kept you busy in the late 90s, early 2000s of these particular projects. And then you're obviously start managing Miss Jones. You're doing things outside of, Dougie Fresh, the Get Fresh crew. You're dabbling in production and you're still DJing and touring. So
right.
My understanding is you've gotten into a few other business ventures over the years.
Right.
And I understand you had mentioned it before, you created a booking agency. So talk to me a little bit about your booking agency, the name of it, and some of your clients.
My agency is called Tilltown Entertainment. And what it started out as was me taking our genre of music and saying, a lot of these people are not working. A lot of these cats are not working, not because they can't work, but, sometimes things happen, you change your number, you change this, you change that, and people can't find you. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you go on social media and you start looking for people and this and that. And, a lot of us wasn't really into social media as strong,
right.
As the younger kids. Like, my kids were running circles around me in social media, because that was their thing. So I said there has to be a place where some of these people can go and get these people because there's work there for you. I just don't know where you are. But my thing is, I see you all the time. Like, I'll see you at an event. I'll see you at this. And they'll be like, yo, let me get your new number. Let me get your new number. You got a new, hit me. Let me hit you with my new number. So now I'm the person that continuously I see these people. And I say, give me your number. Make sure if anything happens, you hit me with the new number. Because I'm starting to do this little booking thing. But I was doing it for nothing. You know what I'm saying? There was no money being made from this. I'm just making sure that this person can get to you. And that's all I really wanted to do. I just want to make sure that this person knows how to get to you. And they want you, hey, they got you. I'll make it happen. I'll put y'all together. So I had a travel agent at the time, and she said, why are you doing this and not making any money from this? She said, because you got to look at it this way. The person you're introducing to the other person, they're all making money. The promoter's making money. The artist is making money. Everybody's making money except for the person who put this together. The person in the middle that made this happen is making zero. She said, you're shortchanging yourself. She said, you really need to make some money from it, because she said, look, I say to you, you keep bringing me clients, because every time somebody travels, I say, look, you do it, but here's the travel agency. This is what you go through. When you get your tickets, make sure you go to her.
Right.
Make sure you go to her. Make sure you do her. She said, you're doing all that, and you're still not making no money. She said, because you're sending me people, and I should be paying you something for this because you sent me a lot of people, a lot of work or whatever. She said, so you need to really get on your game and start getting some money out of this. And that's how I ended up saying, well, what is this about? So I talked to a couple of friends of mine who've been doing this way longer than me. Like my friend Walt at Big Block.
Right.
He's like my brother. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, this is what you do. This is how you set it up. And you do this, because I didn't know how you get money. Like, how do they make money? It's like, okay, it's a commission. You get commission from this, and you commission the top thing, the gross. And then, they start breaking it all down.
Right, absolutely.
So I said, okay. So I've been doing it so long without asking people for money that I felt kind of weird asking now, to get money. But a lot of people, and like I'll tell you this, I got to say this part, out of all, most of the people I deal with, everybody I deal with, I have respect for everybody. But Dana Dane is one of the he's one of the guys that had zero issues. Like, he would give me money before I even asked,
Gotcha.
He's like, yo, and one time I didn't charge him anything. He's like, yo, you got to get this money from this. You got to get he's like, I'm giving you my commission. I'm going to give you the commission.
Right.
And I'm just like, all right. So then I started asking for it. I started saying, yo, it's got 10% got to come out, 10%. Now, I don't say no names, but certain artists is like, yo, why are you asking for money now?
Yeah.
Like, what happened to the free?
Yeah, we don't got to mention them. That's fine.
This all started with me dealing with our genre and just our music, because I wanted to make sure that we all stay together. Like, we all go out on the road, because it was one day I was sitting in the airport and we were all together. We were talking, And it's just so much, it was so interesting and so much knowledge from everybody's perspective of where they came from. We started talking about who I saw first, who you saw first. I saw you perform at this, and it was just so crazy. I was like, yo, we got to keep this going because all of us need to really work, and it's out there for us. We just got to make sure that we start something where we can all do it. And that's how it started. Then it just excelled into, it just became like, hey, yo, I heard you do a book. And this is a big artist now. You know, I'm starting to do artists that, I'm a fan, you know?
Right.
And it just turned into something else. And, you know, the next thing you know, I'm booking huge acts. You know, I don't want to just throw everybody, people's names out there, but I'm doing acts that I can't even believe I'm doing, you know, for real money. You know what I'm saying?
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Six digits, you know, so it's just crazy. I'm like, all right, well, you know, and it just took on a life of its own, you know. So now it's just, that's one of the things that I have going on now. It's just like, you know, that agency thing is just incredible. And I love the fact that, you know, you can keep people working. Sometimes I go get people and I push them on other people because I can say, hey, you should try this or try this person. They haven't worked in a minute or whatever, and do something. Like I saw Chubb Rock in a club one night, and he was like, I'm not doing this no more. And I was like, yo, I can get you some work. Let's do something. He's like, oh, you know, let me know. Here's my number. 2 weeks later, he was in Norfolk, Virginia.
Right. Absolutely. And it's so many artists, and you know, the interesting thing is that a lot of the artists just, you know, kind of naturally over time get disconnected to the industry, and people just don't know how to get a hold to them. But that was my whole point. Yeah, you know. Yeah, but as you know, once you make a classic record, you can work forever. You brought it up earlier in the interview with all of these other R&B acts. You know, Neil Diamond. You know, some of these guys, they haven't made records in years, and they still work. So it's Chilltown Entertainment is the booking agency. Is that correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay, and it's in, of course, because of COVID. But I know your business and a lot of people's business has slowed down, obviously.
Right.
But how can people get a hold of or find Chilltown Entertainment? What's the website? You know, and the contact.
I'm working on a new site now because I had to take everything down because the people that were maintaining it weren't maintaining it the way that it was supposed to be done. So I'm doing a new one now. So that's coming soon. But you can always reach. I mean, it's social media and stuff. You know, if you reach me, you got me. You know, because I'm putting all this stuff. I'm kind of revamping this whole situation now that we're in COVID. You got a moment to kind of look back and say, all right, I haven't done nothing with this. You know, I had stuff up that was with artists that, you know, ain't even alive anymore. So I was like, I really got to really sit down and get into this, you know, because it's like you can't be booking some of these people because they're not even here no more.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's how unmaintained it was, you know.
Got you. So Chilltown Entertainment is the booking agency, and you probably could get, you know, any classic legend R&B and hip hop and DJ artists that you can, right? I'm assuming you have access to everybody, right?
I have access to everybody, and you know, most of these people are friends.
Right,
you know?
Absolutely. So I'm sure you're busy, as you know, and still touring with Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew when, you know, you can tour, right?
Right.
Sean, what does a real schedule look like for Dougie Fresh, Chillwill, and Barry B? Like, for real? What does a real tour look like? Meaning, how many dates would you do roughly a year?
We're roughly at close to 200 a year because there are some days where, like, just for example, we did a date in South Carolina. I think it was like Columbia, South Carolina. Then we did a date in Charlotte the same day. Then jumped on a plane in Charlotte and flew to Texas the same night. And then did the show. And so that's 3 shows right there just in one day.
That's incredible.
And then we'll go do something else. And then we'll go do something else. And we'll go do something. And then like 4 or 5 days a week, we're working. You know, you work the weekend, you work Thursdays, then it started becoming some Tuesdays, and then people having this thing, and some people having that, and their festivals, and it was just, you know, crazy. It's like you're out. I fly every single week. You know, I'm on a plane every week, you know, going somewhere, flying somewhere. You know, your miles are ridiculous and it's crazy, and you don't even realize how much movement you have going on until like you're not moving, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, salute to you, Chillwill, for being an incredible DJ and still having this lifetime legacy of a career that you have, with Dougie Fresh. And it's amazing. I just want to salute to you everything that you've done, for the DJ, for the DJ culture. Now, aside from the booking agency, what other projects are you currently working on?
Well, right now it's just a matter of finding that new thing that's happening now, whatever that is, and try to get into something, with everything that's going on today with COVID and all that, with the virtual stuff and a lot of people are like starting to book virtually and do this and want to book different acts to perform, because we got one coming out October 9th, and it's got Kane, Rakim, Karis One, Doug, and Greg Nice, and a lot of these things are starting to happen now, where people are just booking, and then they got drive-up parties now. They got the one where you can come to the party with your car,
right,
you sit in your car and watch
it's a whole new world out here, right?
It's a whole different world right now, so everything is changing. So you have to, I tell a lot of people this that be around me, man, you're going to have to get into it. You can't wait until it goes back to where it was. You're going to have to get into what this is, because you never know when it's going to go back. Because I remember when COVID came in, we thought 2 months, maybe you're out of work, or maybe 3 tops or whatever.
Right.
But it's still going. And then people are starting a whole new streams to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
Look at D-Nice. D-Nice started a whole new series of stuff. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? Where he
Absolutely.
got 100,000 people watching, doing whatever. And that just created a whole new situation. Everybody's online now. I've never been on social media as much in my life as I have right now, but I had to kind of get into it.
Well, it's this new world that we have to adapt to, because we may not be able to go back to what it was. What if there is a new norm? Right. And as us as DJs, we always have figured out a way to adapt and survive. Right. So I just was curious, to kind of ask, like what other things, do you have going on to kind of, maneuver through, what we're, the new norm that we're dealing with. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it is. And it's a matter of staying on top of the game that's happening now, because, you never know what's going to happen. Hopefully we get back to normal. We have some sort of normalcy. That's like the hopeful way. But
Absolutely.
If not, you better understand the new norm. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to get left behind, because now you become a follower. And that takes a longer time for you to catch up. Because, I have friends that never wanted to use a computer, that all of a sudden you have to. You have to know how to use a computer. I've had friends that said, I'm never doing Serato. That now you're playing catch up because you're learning Serato, because you never even used Serato before. And now you're getting into Serato Pro, you know what I'm saying? And you're in a whole different place. Like, you starting from where, we've been using Serato since the beginning and whatever. And now you're you're playing catch up because you never wanted to do it. And you thought that Serato wasn't going to last. And what's going to be this? It's going to go back to wax.
Right.
But a lot of other scenarios make things work a different way, and people don't see it that way. Like, Serato is really popular, and it became popular because you can't carry records on a plane no more. Because some people would have probably kept going with wax if you could travel with wax. But wax became so hard to travel with and to do, because the airline charges you $80 for, overweight and this and that, and you got to do this. And it just became so much that Serato became the only way to really go. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So it's just that created a certain situation, and if you didn't get in it, you're going to be stuck behind. You're still carrying records, but all your money is going into the airline when you got to fly somewhere to do a party.
It's amazing to hear you embrace technology and embrace the new generation of mindset and the way of thinking from a business as well as DJ standpoint, right? Because, to back up a little bit, I know another changing point, like, for example, was when that song Teach Me How to Dougie came out, right? I know it was kind of funny and humorous, but I know it opened up a whole nother generation of fans for you, for him, for your whole legacy. And then it puts you in this space of forward thinking, right? So now
Exactly.
the newer generation is embracing you. So it's refreshing to hear you, as an OG in the game, open to, embracing technology and forward movement, because you're right. If you do not do it, you'll be left behind, and you don't want to be trying to play catch up, right?
Right. Because a lot of this stuff is not going to go back to what you are used to, because it's all moving forward and everything is very quick. Everything is very fast moving. It's a whole different thing than when we came up, because we came up doing other stuff. We came up doing other things, and those are the things that we know. But you have to embrace what's happening now,
right?
Because these are the things you need to know now, because those days are gone. I remember when it took us literally 6 months to make an album. People are making entire albums in a week, in 3 days.
Absolutely.
Albums are coming out. People are like, I'm going to start working on my album Monday. They be like, Thursday, yeah, we're done. It should be coming out next week.
Right.
This is 2 weeks and the whole process is finished.
It's crazy,
we used to go master, and people are not mastering anymore like they used to. Only the big groups that been doing it are still doing that. A lot of people are just making their albums and putting them out. Making records and just letting them out on the internet.
Yeah. So how do you feel about today's new music, and how do you feel about the DJ culture, in 2020? I mean, you're a legendary DJ, producer, and you come from a legacy of creators. So how do you feel about the new generation of, DJ software, where the DJ culture is at and everything?
I think that a lot of the DJs, and this is just my perspective of it, I think that a lot of the DJs are now, like myself and a bunch of DJs that have been doing this for a long time. We still have the love for what we do or whatever, but I think the newer people don't have they're not embracing DJs at all, because a lot of these groups don't even have DJs, they're not even doing anything with a DJ. So I think that we have to keep that going, because that is the beginning of this. I remember when
absolutely.
the DJ was the very beginning. What I'm saying? It was about the DJ, at the very beginning of this. And I think that has to be stressed and acknowledged, because today I think I think the younger people are not seeing the need, like it used to be, but you're kind of stuck with doing it the way you do it. If you're doing stuff from a flash drive, if you go somewhere and you don't want to do that song, you're kind of stuck there. But a DJ, you can be like, "Oh, let's do this, let's do that." Right. You can maneuver so much more.
Absolutely.
You have so much more flexibility. You got somebody with some skill that can show that they can do something, or you can keep something moving, or you can change it up, or it sounds different, or so we notice, like, when you see like Shakim with BBD, or you see there's bands and everything, but it's still, the DJ is still there. Maybe you did something different. Prince had a DJ. Prince had a DJ.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So because he knew the importance of having that, of doing that, putting that piece into his thing. Like when we started doing this, just to go back for 1 second, when we started doing this, when we listened to, and you can go back to it, and I could be wrong from what I'm hearing, but not a lot of DJs DJ on record like we did. We just did almost every single song. We cut on almost every single song.
Right.
But there were bands that were playing them. But we was like, let's get the DJ on record. Like, let's DJ a lot of stuff. We DJ'd on 80% of our songs. You can hear us cutting something. You're going to hear us cutting something. Or we're going to make up something. Like, we had a song called Nothing. It's basically just the DJs in the beatbox. There was really no music to that. It was just a song. We just go nothing. And then Doug put the beat behind it. And we made something out of nothing. That's basically what we said. It was nothing.
Absolutely.
Because we created something from nothing. But the DJ made this happen. You know what I'm saying? The DJ is so important if you want to have flexibility. You know what I'm saying? Because there's an actual person here. There's not something that is just going straight through, where if something changes, if somebody said, hey, you got 15 more minutes, but your flash drive has 21 more minutes on it, you're going to get cut off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For whatever
Absolutely.
that reason is, you know. So I think the DJ is so important to a lot of these structures in order to have flexibility, in order to give you some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? In order to make it vibrant. You know, it's like, yo, the DJ, and then when you do the cuts and you show what you can do, and you doing the,
Right.
your skills, and
yeah. I mean, it gives you a full show. I mean,
right. It gives you a full show.
Yeah, man. I've been DJing since the early 80s, and I've managed a lot of groups, and I've been with the best. I work with Flash. I used to manage Eric Sermon. I went on the road with EPMD, and
right.
I've been around groups with DJs and without DJs. And the ones with DJs always have the best shows. They always have the flexibility. They always are able to do all kinds of things on the fly. As long as there's electricity, the DJ can save the world. In the story.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
and when something happens, you can't even go back. Like, I've seen horror stories with flash drives and CDs and all this stuff where power has went out and you have to start all over again because you can't find the spot where you were, you know, when the power went on or something went out. And it's just like a disaster. It's a horror story. But, you know, the DJ be like, yo, I got this on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's move right from where we was.
And let's say the mics go out. Let's say, you know, the microphone breaks, or that, you know, what the DJ can extend the show, shorten the show, do all kinds of different things where you get creative to the point where you have full control. And see, that was why the band was always so important to Prince or James Brown, because you could improvise, you could do whatever you needed to do with the band, and the DJ replaced the band, right? So the DJ for rappers is what the drummer and the keyboard player and the guitar player was to the rock and roll or the R&B singer. Absolutely.
Right, R&B, right. So, exactly. So it's so important, you know, it's so important, and it needs to be brought back with some of these younger cats, because a lot of people get it. You know, a lot of younger cats get it, but some of them just don't get it. You know, they don't understand it because they don't know the history and they don't know the culture like they should. You know, you're just doing this because you saw your friend doing it, who's only a year older than you. You know,
absolutely. Well, we're gonna keep the DJ movement going. That's the whole point of Vinyl Esquire, this podcast, and me talking to legends like yourself that are still active and that are still booking talent and still moving forward and pushing the culture forward. So,
no, definitely.
So with that being said, Chillwill, before we get out of here, can you give me one untold story from your hip-hop past? Just something that's amazing that has happened to you in your journeys as a DJ, with, you know, on your own, with Dougie Fresh, with the Get Fresh crew, whatever. Can you give me one story from your past?
I don't know if I have a story as much as to say that, you know, with from me starting to DJ, from the moment that I actually started DJing professionally, like after we started actually making something out of it, from me taking this from like a hobby, like a craft, like just doing it because of the love and just because I love doing it, which I still do today. You know, I still love DJing as much as I did from day one. But I think that the fact that it has sustained me all of this time, you know, and I've never had to do anything else other than what I loved, you know, and other than what I appreciated and I had so much love for, has sustained me all the way up until now. So we're going back from 84, 85 to 2020, you know, and I've DJ'd for a living, you know.
Yes, sir.
And that's the only thing I can really say about that, is that I've just been blessed to be able to do this for real, and it kept me in the love for it, and the appreciation for it, and the respect for it. You know, and DJ, I have respect for all DJs. I go on social media all day, and a lot of DJs can tell you, I go on everybody's site. I watch every DJ, because I have respect for everybody. I mean, there's DJs I don't know. If you have DJ in front of your name, I'm going to see what you do.
Well, right. Well, what was cool is that me and you met years ago, and you know, we've dealt with each other before in the past. But when MC Sha Rock interviewed me,
Right. I was there.
You were there. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you know, and
I was there.
and that's how we kind of connected recently. So yeah, it was dope, man. I really appreciate it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And that is me. That is me all day. I'm on everybody thing. I'm go to every. If you have DJ in front of your name, look for me. I'm gonna be there. The real DJ Chillwill. I'm there.
So Chillwill, any memorable moments that you would like to mention from your past that somebody may not know about? Any crazy story? It ain't got to be drama, but anything that you would like to leave the listeners with of some jewel that happened, you know, in hip hop yesteryear.
Nah, I don't really have any of those. I mean, other than like me falling off the stage or something like that, you know.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you have amazing memories of just.
I mean, I do, but there's nothing that would, you know, be like so crazy. It's just like, you know, it's just about people that you're around. Sometimes you can sit in a circle and be like, this is crazy because I can't even believe the circle I'm sitting in.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like if you're sitting in a circle and you're talking to Biggie and Pac and Jay-Z and this person, all this at the same time, you know, I can't even believe the circle I'm sitting in at this moment.
Would that have been an out of body like experience for you? Something like that happened?
Exactly. Like I'm sitting in Stevie Wonder's house.
Okay, here we go.
I'm amazed. Like, yo, we're at a event and Stevie Wonder is there. We're sitting there talking like I've known you all my life. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like I can't even understand. Like this is a icon. You know,
Absolutely.
And he's cracking jokes and you know, he came on stage with us one day. You know, one day he just came on. Doug is doing the beatbox. He comes on with a harmonica and starts playing while Doug's doing the beatbox. This is incredible now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I'm in a dressing room actually sitting here talking to Philip Bailey and Verdine from Earth, Wind & Fire. You know, Earth, Wind & Fire is my favorite group of all time. And I'm in here standing here talking to them.
Right.
You know?
Amazing.
Like those kind of things are the things that I was like, yo, this is just so crazy for me right now. You know,
yeah.
I just can't even believe I'm here.
Right.
You know, I got pictures of Flash sitting in my office in my house.
Right.
You know,
Again,
Grandmaster Flash.
Right. Amazing moments, right? And this is hip hop, and this is being a DJ, right? So
exactly.
So Chillwill. With all that being said, how can our listeners continue to follow you?
On Instagram, the real DJ Chillwill, and on Facebook, just Chillwill.
Amazing. Well, Chillwill, I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you. This is Vinyl Esquire, the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And you are definitely a legend, a DJ, a turntablist, and just an icon for hip hop and the DJ culture. So again, I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you. And this is Vinyl Esquire. My name is DJ Rip, and this is the legendary DJ Chillwill.
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music.
The maestro himself, DJ Chillwill.